emergency.
Hey. Of the world. Hello. Beautiful people of the world. Excuse us. We had some technical difficulties right at the beginning, but we are good to go now. I would like to welcome you to the Black Soul Well podcast, where our mission is leading the culture to mental and emotional health through faith and education. Today is Tuesday, November the 23rd, couple of days away from Thanksgiving. Hopefully you're going to spend some time either resting or enjoying time with family, etc. Maybe doing both and enjoying some good food. But I would like to welcome you tonight to episode 7. We've been going live now for 7 weeks. I am really hopeful that you have been getting some good information that has been helping you. Like I said, our mission is to lead the culture to mental and emotional health through faith and education. All right. Hey, look, couple of details that I want to go over, and then we're going to jump in to tonight's show. Have a very, very, very special guest for you tonight. First, if you have any questions or you would like information about the Black Soul Well podcast, please shoot us an email to blacksoulwell@gmail.com. That's blacksoulwell@gmail.com. I'm going to make sure that you get that you get the email address up on the screen. Also, connect with us on our social media platforms. We are on Facebook at the Black Soul Well podcast. We're also on IG, and we're also on YouTube. If you're watching us via YouTube, I want to say welcome. I want to thank you for checking us out. Please leave comments. Let us know that you're watching. If you're watching us on Facebook, whether it's the Black Soul Well podcast page, or you could be watching for my own personal page, I want to say thank you. Thank you for watching. Please let us know where you're watching from. I also want to invite you to support us by picking up some of our merchandise. You can find that merchandise at blacksoulwell.bigcartel.com, blacksoulwell.bigcartel.com, and those website addresses are scrolling right now across the bottom of the screen. All right. Hey, look, I hope that you've had a good week thus far. I hope that you are approaching the middle of the week with some productivity up under your belt, with some peace up under your belt. And tonight, for our opening thought, I wanted to take just a few minutes before we get into our guest to talk about, we're in the Thanksgiving holiday, or the day that this country recognizes as Thanksgiving. As a matter of fact, a couple of days ago, I was having a conversation with someone about the Thanksgiving holiday here in the United States. And I was sharing with them how Thanksgiving didn't start off, the roots of it. Let me put it like that. The roots of Thanksgiving, man, there's some horrific things that happen. And I want to invite you to go and to do a little history. We're not here to talk about that tonight. But I was speaking with this individual about the roots of the Thanksgiving holiday and how there were many lives lost and lives slaughtered and etc. in the name of advancement and etc. And they were asking me, how can you celebrate this holiday, or how do you wrap your mind around the fact that Indians were slaughtered, Native American Indians were slaughtered many years ago, and now this holiday has largely become all about commerce and economics and spending money and etc. Now we know that it's more to the story than that. I mean, we're supposed to be getting together with families. But this individual was asking me that question, and I thought about it, and I wanted to give them some encouragement. And one of the things that I shared with them was this right here. There are so many things that start off wrong in our country, in our lives, and I'm not giving a pass for anything that was done. But what I did tell them is that there are times, and this is in part what I shared with them. I didn't want to really get into this, but I'll just give you a little tidbit. And if you'd like to discuss it further with me, certainly you can reach out to me. But I was telling them that, certainly there are times in our lives, as we grow and we find out the truth of what really happened, whether it's in our personal lives, whether it's in the country that we live in, etc., whatever the case is, we have to learn how to navigate it and to, at least from my point of view, try to find some positivity, try to find some growth from it, and then try to bring a light to truth. But in bringing a light to truth, we certainly, I think it's very, very important for us to be gracious, to be patient, to have some understanding, and try to set some common goals so that we can all move forward amicably, together, unity as best as we can. Now, everybody won't want that, and that's just reality, but that's what we have to try to do. And so, listen, I said all that to say, I don't know what your personal feelings are regarding the Thanksgiving holiday for one reason or the next, but some good can come out of it. You can get together with family. You can be a blessing to someone. Hey, perhaps you're going to see family and friends that you have not seen in a while, and you'll get an opportunity to enjoy them. You might make new friendships, strengthen familial relationships, and etc. So make the best of it, all right? But listen, that wasn't the opening thought. I guess that was like the opening thought before the opening thought. And get in the comments. Let me know what you think. I would love to, although I can't respond to them right now, I would love to know what you're thinking, how you're feeling about what was shared. So listen, I wanted to talk a little bit about cultivating emotional harmony during Thanksgiving week. Cultivating emotional harmony during Thanksgiving week. Because you know how it is. We get busy. We get with our families. We're running around. The Black Friday shopping day is the day after Thanksgiving, although I've heard that they've changed it and stores are switching around their opening hours and their operating hours to accommodate people and to try to limit some of the tragedy that we've seen in the past, people stomping over each other and whatnot. But you have the shopping, you have the food preparation. You know how we do. Families get together, they spend hours and hours and hours preparing food. Families come together, and that can be sometimes a little stressful because we have to sit with family members that we really don't like, or that we may not. Maybe it's not them, but maybe it's something, their idiosyncrasies or a way they act, and etc. Whatever the case may be, and we have to be with them. I believe that holidays like this, as much as possible, we want to try them. We want to try to make them blessed. We want them to be well, especially for young ones. We want to try to make sure as best as possible that they are a happy time. They're a comforting time for our children and our grandchildren and young children. And so what I wanted to do was just share with you a few tips about how you can cultivate emotional harmony during Thanksgiving week. And the first thing I want to say is eat and drink responsibly. That's the first thing. Eat and drink responsibly. Here's another thing. If you're going to be gathering with family and friends, you may need to establish what topics you will and will not discuss. You have to establish what topics you will and will not discuss, because some things are just flashpoints, like politics, or religion or whatever. You understand what I'm saying? And nowadays, we can. It's easy to kind of go off into all kinds of directions, especially with everything that's been happening in our country. And so I want to encourage you. Go ahead and establish. You know what, and that may look something like this. Hey, everybody. I'm so glad that we can all gather here today. Listen, we're going to have a good time. We're going to have a lot of good food. But I just want to say this right here. We're not talking about politics today. I don't want to hear nothing about Trump. I don't want to hear nothing about Biden or anything like that. At least not in a large setting, because sometimes those things can start arguments and etc. and things just go down the drain. All right. These are just tips now. These are just tips. Here's another one. Don't be afraid to establish healthy, respectful boundaries with your family and friends. Don't be afraid to establish healthy boundaries. Sometimes we get anxiety because we got to see our uncles or our cousins that, tease us about certain things that we don't like. There's nothing wrong with pulling people to the side and just respectfully establishing a boundary, letting them know, hey, listen, I don't want to talk about this tonight. Let's not talk about this. Let's not talk about how I used to wet the bed. You, you understand what I'm saying? Let's not talk about how I used to do this or how I used to do that. I don't want you embarrassing me in front of family this year or whatever the case is. There's nothing wrong with establishing those healthy, respectful boundaries. And then this is the last one. I got a few points up under this though. Try to create an atmosphere of honor. Try to create an atmosphere of honor. Now, there may be some already that's like, oh, what does that mean? Who am I honoring? This is what I mean by that. Try to have an attitude. Try to go into a home or a gathering with an attitude that says, I'm here to contribute and to help as best I can. That's my attitude. You understand what I'm saying? That's the attitude I want to encourage you to have. I'm here to contribute and help out the best that I can. That's what I'm here to do. And so, when we try to establish an attitude of honor, then what happens is it helps us it helps us to fight against the urge to feel like an elitist among our family and friends. And so let's try to establish an atmosphere and honor, have an attitude that says, I'm here to contribute and to help as best I can. Hey, auntie, you need me to wash some dishes? Hey, man, who needs a slice of cake? Hey, we're putting the food up. Anybody wants a plate to go, etc. Hey, auntie, you need me to do something? You need me to take out the trash? Hey, mama, you need me to do whatever? Try to establish an atmosphere of honor. Then find something helpful to share with others. Find something helpful that you can share with others, but don't be overbearing. If you're going to be around family, maybe you have a nephew that plays a sport, and hey nephew, I heard you playing basketball. Are you working? Are you good on offense or defense? What's your sweet spot? Oh, really? You know what? You're working on your 3-point shot. Let me show you how. When you do this, hold your hands back and whatever the case is. That's just an example. But try to share something helpful. Have an attitude like, you know what? I just want to be a blessing. I just want to be helpful to my family. I just want to be helpful to my friends. I don't want to be a sorrow puss, as they say. I don't want to be somebody that's mad or uptight or nobody wants to kind of hang out with and etc. You want to do that, but don't be overbearing and give people space and respect. Here's another thing: predetermined to extend grace and patience. We cannot choose our family. We can't choose who our family is. We can't choose the families that we are born into, and so you have no choice but to love them and just to kind of rock and roll with them, baby. You understand what I'm saying? And so when we predetermine, you know what? I'm going to be patient. I'm going to do my best to be patient this year. I'm going to extend grace, because grandma a little old and she sometimes say things out of her mouth she shouldn't, but I know she kind of old and, I'm just going to try to chill a little bit. Predetermined to extend grace and patience, choose peace over toxicity. And those are our opening points for this evening. Hey, look, I hope that they help you. I hope that they are useful for you. And let me know. Let me know if you use them, if you put them into play, and something good happens. We would love to hear about them. All right. Okay. Tonight we have a very, very special guest with us tonight on the Black Soul Well podcast. Tonight we have Mrs. Tara Anthony. I'm going to bring her up on the screen and then give her a little introduction. We have Mrs. Tara Anthony. She's a 20-year special education slash exceptional children educator. She's also the 2019 EC, which stands for Exceptional Children Teacher of Excellence for Cabarrus County, which is in Concord, North Carolina. So essentially, that's like the Teacher of the Year for special education teachers. She's the 2019 quote unquote Teacher of the Year for educational special ed exceptional children teachers in Concord, North Carolina. She's a wife and a mother of 3 young adult children. And if you did not know, she is my baby's mama. She is my baby's mama for 23 years. We are going to have a conversation with her on mental and emotional health for elementary age and even middle and high school students. Good evening, Mrs. Anthony. How you doing?
I'm well, and yourself?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Thank you for coming on the show tonight.
You are more than welcome anytime.
Anytime. All right. I'm going to take you up on that. I'm going to take you up on that. Well, listen, Mrs. Anthony, would you take a few minutes and talk to us a little bit about your career and your experience working with exceptional children and why you love the job? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, first of all, coming up as a child, I either wanted to become an educator or a nurse. I did not become a nurse because I am not very comfortable with needles. So, therefore, it geared me towards education. I've always wanted to take on the challenge for ones that have difficulty learning to prove that if I just tap into their learning style,
Mhm.
that they can be successful in learning. Um, I've always, teachers do not make a lot of money. We're not getting paid what we're truly worth because we impart a lot in life. I wanted to go into teaching for the outcome, not the income. The
Mm.
outcome because I really wanted to be a part of their learning process, them growing, encouraging them to allow them to know you can do anything you put your mind to if you had the support
Sure.
that you need, and just be that level of support for them, and also to advocate for them as well as hold high expectations for them. Um, my motto for my kids: you never know how much you can do until you try. And I really am encouraged in being a part of that with them. I really, really, truly enjoy the smiles on their faces when they actually, we can go over something for a while and they can have it today and it's gone tomorrow. But when they finally get it, oh, it does my
Yeah.
heart joy because I love to see them smile. I love to see them encouraged. I love to see their confidence grow. So I love teaching students. I love encouraging them, and I love to just be a part of their life. I tell them when they become rich and famous, they please don't forget about me. I want them to really, you know that I love them, I care about them. And the good thing about it, I don't just follow them while they're in elementary school. I follow them middle school, high school, and great success stories for a lot of them, which I'm very, very encouraged about.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I do just want to say that, if I can piggyback off of something you said teachers don't make a lot of money. But I would say, people say that a lot. But I think you guys, I mean, at least from my opinion, I'm not a licensed teacher. But I think, you guys make a decent wage. However, I will say this, you all definitely don't get paid what you should. I definitely believe that. I mean, and especially this last year, I'm sure with COVID and all the challenges and the rigmarole that you guys have had to go through. Um, what are some of the most challenging parts about working with students with mental and emotional health issues? What are some of the most challenging parts?
One thing is that they can't help it. They
Hmm.
really can't. And my job is to try to de-escalate situations as best as I know how, calm them down, you know, constantly give them calming strategies to help them cope with
Hmm.
their anger, their, all kinds of things that are going on. Encourage them with their home life. It's a
Yeah,
lot of behind the scenes that teachers do, deal with, not to just when they come to school and teach them. You communicate with the parents and you become a part of their lives as well as the students' lives because you're imparting into them. But the
yeah,
issues that they have, they can't control them. And it really breaks my heart when they can't get the help that they need. And we try so hard to get them, the help outside of school, not just
hmm,
in school, to get them home, the help that they need so that they can be successful. So just calming them down, giving them strategies that they could use. It's a lot to go in because it weighs a lot on educators, like things that they're going through. You can't just say forget it. That's just them. Your
yeah,
heart cares, and you want to, be there for them. You have students that they tear up things and go off, and people said they can't control that. Some of them can't control that.
they
Some
can't.
of them do have emotional, disabilities that they can't
Mhm.
control. Some of them are on medication to kind of like help them, to stay focused and to keep things in perspective. So it's a lot that goes into it. It's very challenging and
Sure,
stressful, but
sure,
working together as a team and having very good administrators and not just administrators, having, teachers that are willing to assist. It's just everybody working together, the teachers, the parents, the
sure,
administration, the counselors, the social workers, everybody working together just to make them successful. So
sure.
just getting started with them, it's a lot, but it can be done if it's a team effort.
Awesome. It sounds like it's a team effort. It's a
Yes.
team effort. Have you ever had a situation where a student maybe went off, we'll call it that, in your classroom or anything? Can you talk a little bit about maybe what happened? I mean, I know you can't give, stringent details, obviously, but can you tell us about an example of something that happened maybe?
Yes, I have a lot of stories. One,
Just one.
um, one particular student, you may remember this, and they weren't in elementary school because I've taught middle school as well. One student was very upset with me, and he was having a moment. Um, but he, very tall, super duper bigger than you know, than I am, and he was just upset. So the school system that I was teaching in at the time, you could just go and you can just press a little button, um, so that they can come and escort, the student out of your room. So he was very, very livid, and he was so angry that he threatened to do certain things to me.
Mhm.
And just thinking about it, and I was super duper calm, and he was coming towards me, but the security had came in before he actually got to me. um, I mean, he was very upset, and I can't remember after all these years what he was upset about, but I do remember that after everything had calmed down and everything, he told me he started to really truly get upset with me because I didn't show any fear, because he was way bigger than me. And he was like, "Do you know what I can do to you?" And the whole time I was thinking in my head, like, I'm about to lose my job. But seriously, I was like calm, but on the inside, I was thinking of a million things, but I remained calm. And he told me, I really got angry with you because you showed no signs of fear towards me. And you just act like it was just okay. But he was having an emotional breakdown. So things got settled, when he was calmed down, he could apologize. But he missed some time out of school for that.
Mm,
Just because of the language and going off and throwing things and just,
sure,
you know,
sure. Yeah, and working with children who, like you touched on this a moment ago, working with children, I'm sure, who struggle in those areas. I'm sure it's almost to be expected. Sometimes, if you're working with children who have some emotional issues, and emotional disabilities, I'm sure that's expected sometimes. Talk to us a little bit about how has COVID-19, how is the pandemic complicated teaching for teachers, or the educational journey for parents, students, and teachers. Because I know that last year y'all were at home. First you were teaching in school, then you're at home, then you're back at school, then you have to have the board, this board of education, I guess, or the school board has the vote, if you guys are going to come home and etc. Then you have the issue with masks. And let me just say this, if I could just say this, I can remember a couple of months ago I saw on the news that there were people that were actually threatening the board members, not at your particular district, but there were people that were threatening board members because they voted to have the children wear the masks in school. And I remember watching that on the news and thinking to myself, like, wow, I mean, this is something else. These people are actually threatening to do bodily harm to these board members because they voted for their children to wear a mask. And listen, I'm not here to say you shouldn't wear a mask, you should wear a mask or whatever. But I'm just talking about that clip that I saw on the news. And then there's a story of a school, I believe it was in New Jersey. I could be wrong, where a parent had actually punched the teacher over a mask. I mean, it was just like, wow. And I'm thinking to myself, like I shared, you're my wife, and I remember having conversations with you. I said, honey, don't get into an argument with any parents or anything like that, because I don't want that temptation. I don't want that temptation to, have to, lay hands suddenly on somebody, that's trying to harm my wife. But that's just like a small piece of what you guys have to deal with, and instruction, and how you instruct the students. Now, talk to us a little bit about what that feels like. How do you make it through? How's it going? All that.
well, it was stressful starting off. Um, and I am not the best at technology, and I'm growing. Thank God for my tech facilitator. She was very patient with me and and really helped me through a lot of things. We had to learn a lot of things really fast.
Yeah.
Um, Going remote online, it takes away your control of the class and the environment.
Mm,
When you're in the classroom, like if I'm in my classroom, I can control that environment. When they're
yes.
at home online, some of them playing video games online, parents talking, smoking, drinking, walking by inappropriate. It was a whole bunch of stuff going on, and you can't control that environment. So it's like, wow, like you have to block all that out, and you still have to say, hey, Johnny, I'm gonna need you to do this, I'm gonna need this. And then being consistent, it put a lot of weight on the parents. And the parents, some of them that, you can tell the parents that were active and involved in their child's education, and you can tell the ones that were not. um, it it caused me to do a lot of phone calls to parents because I was like, nope, everybody's gonna be on this line. If one person missing when the time you're supposed to be on, I'd be like, wait a minute, let me call that particular person. Okay, Miss Anthony, they get ready to come on right now. Instead of just the normal calls I like to call when they're doing great, not when they just not doing great, just to, have some encouragement. But it changed a lot. Just that piece for not being able to control the environment. And then the kids had a different type of attitude
Mm.
online. Like I said, you don't have that environmental control. It's like everything's going on at home, things behind them, TV
Yeah.
blasting, different things. They're very distracted by things, and you're teaching your heart out. And when it's time to go, it's like bloop, offline, gone,
Yeah.
until next time when you come on. But it really changed. And face to face, it's more controlled, and it's better to me, as an educator, face to face, because um, it's the expectations are still high, but online, like I said, you can't control the environment, but in the
Sure.
classroom you can control the environment. And it's just different. The educators
Yeah.
know what I'm talking about when I say it's totally different. And then
Sure.
online, giving them work and doing different things, you'd be surprised. You will hear parents in the background giving them answers to tests. It was a
Oh,
whole
wow.
going on. It was just like, wait a minute, I think Johnny can read that on his own, or Susie can do this, on their own. And then they're not turning their cameras on, they turn them off. It was just a whole bunch of stuff. But my main issue is the controlling the environment and having the children in a mindset ready to learn.
Sure.
In person, you can do that, but online, you just can't. You can't do that, and that was very
Sure.
challenging. And learning the computer, and those children know the computer better than you do. I mean, they know how to. You can mute them. You can do all kinds. They figure out all kinds of things to do. But
Yeah.
that's why with technology, you really have to, know what you're doing, and it was just a challenge.
It, and I bet that in environments like that, that makes it even that much more important for the parents to cooperate, doesn't it? Like, you
Yes.
need parents' help, to hold children accountable at home. And like you said, if you guys can't really control the environment, you need the parents to help, to help with the student. Um, yeah, yeah. Um, so listen, I wanted to shift gears a little bit and talk a little bit about mental and emotional health in kids. You and I have had plenty of conversations about one of the things that you've shared with me just over the years is how that you notice these issues developing in the children at a much younger age. At a much younger age. We had my good friend Scott Akers was on here a couple of weeks ago, and one of the things that he was speaking about as a mental health professional and a family counseling professional was how that there are things that he was seeing in children, the behaviors and etc. in children and adolescents at a lot younger age because of how times have changed, and as a result, one of the negative things that has happened is that some of the some of the things that children are exposed to now at a much younger age at a greater rate, and because of that, and the environments that these children are growing up in, and they're experiencing things at a lot younger now. I mean, things that we might have experienced at 12, 13, they're going through at 5 and 6 and 7. They're seeing things, going through things, and etc. And it's just creating these behavioral issues. And you talked about how you were seeing these things at a much younger age in the kids. Uh, how do you, what do you do as a teacher, or and also as a parent? Like how do you how do you kind of navigate that?
First of all, as an educator, you you notice things about students, and once you notice those things, you reach out to your colleagues, or you know um, your admin, or something, or some things that you can put in place if you know things are happening, some type of interventions in place, so that way you can kind of, you know help with those things that they're struggling with, especially
Yeah.
behaviors. You can use a reward enforcement. You can use
Mm.
time, stickers reward. If they get so many stickers, or they do this after, some people are daily, some people are weekly, some people are every 30 minutes or after every assignment. It all depends on what they're struggling with. It could be a behavior problem or an academic problem. And we try to put those things into place, and to kind of like keep a close eye on them, meet regularly, and then, you know, kind of like progress monitor them to see how they're doing, as far as academic wise, and with their behaviors, see if they're meeting their goal for the behavior that you're trying to correct. Um, as far as dealing with the situation, it takes everybody, all hands on deck.
Mm.
Reaching out is not something that you can bear alone. Like, this is my student in my class, I have to just do this. No, that's why you reach out to your admin and different
Yeah.
resources, your
So
counselor,
a team.
work,
Once again, it's a team effort.
team of people to kind of like help you navigate some things and try to work through some things and come up, because one person, you may, think of one idea, but it's better to have more people around, so different ideas can come up on how you can solve that particular, or you can, put some interventions in place for that particular student. As far as parents are concerned, we have a lot of resources for parents that parents could, they could utilize. And I know a lot of things, the behaviors are happening in younger and younger ages now, because a lot of parents are younger and younger. You have
Mm.
babies having babies, and they really don't know how to parent. You know, it would be very nice to have a book to say these are all the things you're supposed to do as a parent. Let's do this, 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 and this, and then, but as well as I know that it's trial and error. So, and then, but the good thing about it, we do have a lot of resources out there for parents that can help them, navigate through whatever that they're going through as well, so that they can help their children. Because I had one parent tell me, this is a couple of weeks ago, well, and her particular child has, a disability, and she was like, I didn't know. I thought he was being defiant, but he didn't understand some things.
Mm.
And she was like, as a child, as I was coming up, my father just beat me for everything. So I turned out all right, and I'm okay. But she had to go through triple P parenting, and she said it opened up her eyes to see that I was doing learned behavior, what I've learned, that
Mhm.
I passed it on to, my child, not knowing and not realizing, everybody's totally different. I don't care if you cut from the same cloth, you could be identical twins, but you are absolutely different. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to handle Susie the way I handle, you know, John over here, because even though they're
Yeah.
twins, they have different personalities. They feel different about
Yeah.
things, and you have to treat things, on a case by case basis different. You still
Yeah.
have your expectations, and you know what's right, your morals and values and different things like that. But the way you handle the situation may be different, because what worked for Johnny not going to work for Susie, or what worked for Susie is not going to work for Anna. They're not. It's not going to work. You have to know your children, and you have to
Yeah.
know what works for them. And if you have problems with that, you have to reach out for help. And that's what's wrong with some of us as parents. We don't want to reach out for help. We just say, we got it. It's gonna be okay. I'm gonna take this away, or I'm gonna do this, or I'm gonna do that, instead of reaching out to the resources that we really need, so that they
Yeah.
can get the help that they need. And
Yeah.
sometimes we're seeing those behaviors in children earlier and earlier. But this is the sad part about it. If they don't get the help that they need early, I really believe in early intervention. You have to
Yeah.
get the earlier
The
you see
better.
sons, the better it is to get some type of intervention and help. Because if you let it go on for years and years and years and years and years, kids become defiant, they become disrespectful, and then if they
It's
won't
harder.
let
It's harder to reach them. I can imagine.
if they won't let you parent them, the streets or jail, prison, they're
Yeah,
gonna parent them. So
yeah,
it's best that you get them the help that they really, really need, because some kids they do have an emotional disability. They can
yeah,
have a chemical imbalance. They
yeah.
can have a whole lot of things wrong with them
Sure.
mentally. And if those things go unaddressed, that's where the problem come in.
Yeah.
Just you
Um,
it just
if I could jump in, let me jump in and say this. One of the things, just hearing you say that, um, I think sometimes, well, two things I want to touch on real quick. But first, I think sometimes maybe it's not so much that parents don't want to get the help, but I think parents are just tired, like exhausted, or maybe hopeless, and they have to be encouraged. They have to be encouraged to do this for their child. And sometimes, and if there are any parents out there listening, and we're parents, and I'm a parent, she's a parent. Sometimes we have to be redirected to what's most important, because if we ignore our child and we don't get them the help that's there, they'll grow up to, like you were saying, Tara, that they're defiant, they don't want to listen, and etc. And life could very well be much harder for them. But there's something else that I wanted to touch on real quick. That is, I think we're going to do a show on this. I'm going to do a show on. I know that I'm going to do a show on this subject, and it's about what we call in the Black community is whoopings. Whoopings. You talked about this parent who said that when she was younger, she just got a whooping for everything, and so she duplicated that behavior. Oh man, and talk about the connection, I bet, between poor emotional and mental health, and just getting whoopings for everything, and just getting beat for everything, or ridiculed, smacked, or whatever the case is. We got to do better as a community, man. We just got to do better as a community. And I remember over the years having conversations with people about Black folk and whoopings, and people would say, "Oh, you gotta beat your kids, you gotta this, you gotta that." And I definitely believe in corporal punishment, as they call it, the politically correct term for it. But I do think that, and I know that you shouldn't just be smacking your child, beating your child for everything, because, and this as an educator, and as a parent, if you whoop your child for everything and they stop doing what you want them to do, that's negative reinforcement. And a lot of times the behavior stops, but their heart doesn't change.
mm,
And so they may not do it in front of you.
absolutely.
They're just going to do it when you're not around
Mhm.
until they get strong enough to overpower you. Then they ain't going to worry about no belt or no whooping. They still
That's
gonna
true.
do it. And if you try to stop them, they're gonna hit you upside the head or push you out the way or something like that. Here's the problem with that. It translates, transfers, whatever you want to call it. It moves over into other areas of life. And
Mhm.
so, I always try to encourage people, if you're gonna spank your child when they're small, don't just look at it like, oh, people say, I tore their little hips up, I tore their little butt up. No, try to talk to them to produce a heart change, because you want the behavior to stop. And sometimes that's where we just stop at. We just want the behavior to stop. Didn't I tell you to stop that? Pop, 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 pop. And then, and then we think, okay, now they stop doing it. But we want their heart to change, and children's hearts can change. We want them to think like, what, this is not the right thing to do. Hey, what are or can you tell us a real quick a success story of a student that flourished with the right help? Do you have any success stories?
Yes, I have a student. Well, one student, um, he um, he was all the way in fifth grade and he struggled with reading. He, I mean, his behaviors, he would get in trouble all the time because um, he was avoiding reading and doing the work because he couldn't. So he said, if I act out of behaviors, I get out of the class, I get to go to office, I get to go home. You know, he was avoiding the task because it was difficult for him. So I kind of like figured him out and I wouldn't give up on him. I was just like, well, you know, I communicated with the parent and I said, hey, if you mind if I, if you mind if I take a little bit of his, personal time that he have to, just him and I just go over if it's just 15 minutes, that we can go over, reading some things. And she was like, okay. So a week went by. He would just look at me. I look at him, and he was just like, I'm not saying a word. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that." So I was just like, "Oh, okay." So, but I didn't give up on him. I was just like, "Oh, see you tomorrow, same time, this that." So finally, he, he opened up. We started going over some things, and he started reading, and he was getting more interested into books and things like that. So we read, and he was fine. So he was moving on to the next grade level. So he was coming from fifth grade and he was moving to sixth grade. So after they had their little graduation, he gave me a card. And the card said, to a cool teacher.
Mm.
So, and I was just like, wow, he gave me this card to a cool teacher. Okay. Years went by. Um, years went by. He finally called me at work. I had a phone call from this particular student. And I was like, hello? And they was like, hi, something, Miss Anthony, whatever, whatever. I was like, oh my goodness, how are you? How are you doing? Because they had moved to a different state, And I was like, how are you doing? And he was like, I'm doing good. He said, I just want to call you to tell you thank you. He said, you're one of the coolest teachers that I know. You never gave up
Awesome.
on me. You've always, he said, you still making kids write behavior essays. I said, and you know it. So he was like, I just want to say thank you and stop. Don't ever stop being yourself. He said,
Mm.
even though I gave you a run for it, like he gave me a run for it. And he said, you never gave up on me. And he said, now I wanted to let you know that I'm going to the police academy because he wanted to be a police officer.
Oh, wow.
Very heartwarm. I was just like, oh my goodness.
Awesome.
When I got off the phone, I literally cried. Like literally, like cried. Because I was
Mm.
like, as mean as he was, and much trouble as he was, and now he wants to. But it did my heart joy to know that, it stuck with him, what he learned. That's why I want to be a part of their lives because I want to see the outcome. So that
Yeah.
was one success story. And I
Yeah.
was very encouraged because it lets me know that, okay, you know, you're doing the right thing.
Your work is not in vain.
Yes, sometimes I feel like that by what I see, but I know I can't go by what I see. And I'm just like, okay,
Yeah.
that's one. I have many more, but that one
Yeah.
will really touch my heart. Like, and then wait a minute, one more. I had one.
Well, actually, we don't have time for the one more success story tonight. But if we have you back on, we have you back on, we'll get it. But listen, what we're gonna do at this time is we're gonna take a little break. We have what we call a moment of inspiration, where we usually highlight, showcase some poetry or some art form that we're going to show. And so, look, everybody out there, we have this little video, little Christian hip hop video we have titled Keep On Moving. We're going to show that. Then we're going to come back and we're going to ask Mrs. Anthony about any resources she'd like to share. And then we're going to wrap the show up for the evening. So hang around with us. I hope that this video encourages you.
Keep moving, got to keep moving, keep moving.
stuck in life, keep moving. This song is to encourage you. Keep moving. Let's get it. In the year 2010, I left Virginia, moved to Charlotte, put the home on the market. The fam was embarking on a journey, like pilgrims, taking a risk with my wife and 3 children, uprooting our lives for the gospel. But I told the Lord where he leads, I will follow. So we got a lot of hands and we loaded up the van. Yo, I kinda felt like my name was Abraham, going to a new land. Everybody beaming, fulfilling our dreaming. Yo, I had a team of 5 adults, me and my wife and 3 others. Yo, you couldn't tell me that I'd have to suffer subtle attacks and stabs to the back. Even got lied on, felt like a python. Was squeezing the air out my lungs. People turn their back on us. No, not the ones that said with their tongues that they walking with us. But when things got testy, chose to forget us. Left us in our time of need with no problem. Some even hoped destruction was the outcome. And if it wasn't for the prayers of my peeps, yo, I'd probably be another victim of the thief. When my strength got old and my night turned cold, this is what the Lord would breathe in my soul. Keep on moving. Keep on moving. It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. But you gotta keep on moving. Keep on moving. It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. Yo, being inspired by the Lord feels good. Yo, you got a vision. You can see it all laid out, see it being played out, imagining everything in order. Lives changing from what you have to offer. You got it from the Lord in prayer, he's the author. But then you get opposition and that's awkward. And you realize it won't come easy. And sometimes the help you get is measly. A lot of times wanted to quit, man, believe me. God wouldn't let me, his grace wouldn't leave me. Enemies in the front, enemies in the back. Enemies throwing darts, enemies setting traps. And you're thinking perhaps that you're gonna collapse. You think you're finished, God brings you back. Dust off the dirt, you're back on track. Nothing has been lost, God didn't subtract. Nah, man, in fact, you gained from the attack. God changed your stats, kept things intact. You won't suffer lack, there'll be none of that. Hold your head high, straighten up your back. And now you got a testimony of his grace. And you can help a soldier in another race. So when giving up seems tempting, don't quit, cause your pain has redemption. Keep on moving. Keep on moving. It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. But you gotta keep on moving. Keep on moving. It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. Keep on moving. Keep on moving. It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. But you gotta keep on moving. Keep on moving. It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. Keep on moving. Keep on moving. It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. But you gotta keep on moving. Keep on moving. It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. Yeah. You got to keep on moving. Got to keep on moving because it's going to be all right. Hey, I hope that encouraged you. Hope it put a smile on your face, gave you some laughs or something. All right. Hey, look, we are preparing to wind up the show with our special guest, Mrs. Tara Anthony, 20-year exceptional children teacher. She's been talking to us about how to help our children, our students, with mental and emotional health. So thank you for coming on tonight. Look, we got a few more things to go over before we get out of here. One is, can you share some resources? Do you have any resources, or I know you do. We have some resources that we wanted to share real quick. You go ahead and list them, and I'll make sure that the information gets up on the screen.
Um, Thompson Child Family Focus, and that mainly is individual and family therapy. Um,
And let me just say, it's the information. If you're watching, this information is scrolling at the bottom of the screen right now. So if you are looking to get some help for your child, some mental and or emotional help, and you're in the Charlotte area, these are some resources for you. Okay, so Thompson Child and Family Focus information is scrolling at the bottom of the screen right now.
and the Alexandria Youth Network, that's child and family therapy as well. And it helps with day treatment programs, psychiatric residence facilities. And one more, Vital Wellness Center, individual and family counseling, and also is bilingual. So it doesn't have to be just for English speaking families, it can be for Spanish speaking families. Um, and it's a whole lot of resources out there. I just want to give a few, but if you wanted more information, just leave a message in the comments and I'll make sure that you get that information sent to your email.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. Um, all right. Now, uh, as we get ready to get out of here, we usually do these five closeout questions for our guests. Listen, I want to ask you these five questions, and you just answer them, and then we'll be out of here. All right. What's your favorite meal?
Oh, liver, rice, gravy, and onions with some broccoli and cheese. Yes. Mm.
Liver, rice, gravy, and onions with
Woo!
broccoli and cheese, which we will not be having this week for Thanksgiving dinner. Thank you. So liver, rice, gravy, and onions with some broccoli and cheese.
Yeah.
What's your favorite hobby?
Oh, spending time with my family, relaxing, doing absolutely just things with you all.
Relaxing, spending time with your family. Do you have a favorite sports team?
You know the New York Giants is my favorite football team. Go Giants! Even though I'm a ride or die fan for the Giants, and we having a little rough year, but hey, I'm still a Giant fan.
Are you talking about the Little Giants, that
You
movie?
know what? You know I'm talking about the New York Giants.
Um, if you could have a conversation with anyone from past or present, who would it be? It could be somebody, obviously somebody that's no longer living. Who would it be and why?
I would like to have a conversation with my grandma Bertha, who was my father's mom, because I really, really loved and adored her. And am, I really wish that she could see my family and kids now. And she was just a warm hearted person that I could truly talk to. And she was a real grandmother. So, the grandmother that's like, come on, baby, round here. You couldn't do no wrong around her because, you can get away with murder with her. But I truly miss her in my heart and wish that I could have a conversation and she can see me now.
Okay, all right. And the final question, uh, how would you describe the perfect day? I'm going to ask you to answer this in under 30 seconds. How would you describe the perfect day?
The perfect day for me will be to get up late, do absolutely nothing, and enjoy myself, watch TV, do whatever I want to do for the day. My Hallmark and my family, we watch movies together. That y'all watch one Hallmark movie with me. The whole movie, not part, the whole movie. That would be the perfect day for me.
That'd be the perfect day.
Yes.
Okay, well, we'll pray about that. Well, listen, thank you, Mrs. Anthony, for joining us for the show tonight. I hope everybody out there, if you're listening and you have children, we certainly do hope and pray that you're able to get some information that will help you as you age your child in cultivating and developing mental and emotional health. We want to encourage you to hang in there. to not give up. You are your child's biggest cheerleader. You are your child's biggest advocate. And we want to remind you to do things that will help them. Also, before we get out of here, there's something that I wanted to put up on the screen. Actually, you see right on the screen now our information. If you would like to visit our website, you can do so, blacksoulwell.com. If you like to purchase, we have hoodies and t-shirts and hats, different things that you can purchase to patronize the show and help us get the word out. That's blacksoulwell.bigcartel.com. Once again, that's blacksoulwell.bigcartel.com. And also, if you are struggling tonight with suicidal thoughts, I know that sometimes during the holidays, people get lonely, especially those living alone. They get lonely and struggle. I can remember being in the military, and they would talk to us about that a lot, because as servicemen, we'd be away from our families during the holidays, and it would really hurt hurt some of us. And so they would talk to us about suicide and how important it is. And so we have the National Suicide Hotline number up on the screen right now, 1-800-273-8255. It's 1-800-273-8255. The website is suicidepreventionlifeline.org, suicidepreventionlifeline.org. Reach out and get help if you need it. Thank you for joining us on another broadcast of the Black Soul Well podcast, where our mission is leading the culture to mental and emotional health through faith and education. Be safe. We will see you next week. All right. And happy Thanksgiving.
Peace by